Hey, well, welcome everyone. We are so glad to have you joining us today, really, as we have a discussion based around the sanctity of life. In a weekend of every January, our country kind of comes together and recognizes this idea of sanctity of life. And here at High Desert Church, we really take the whole month to discuss it and to celebrate it. Now, I get it. This is a cultural hot topic. And when someone hears the quote unquote sanctity of life, they often will sometimes hear pro choice or pro life. And I just want to say that for all of us here at High Desert Church, this is not a political discussion. Rather, it is a biblical one. And one of the issues that we see in the church today is believers wanting to debate their pro-life or their pro-choice agenda based on their political affiliation. But that isn't necessarily the correct approach. I don't mind saying that some pro-life proponents do not completely have a biblical view of the sanctity of life. One of the problems that I've seen is that some taking a pro-life stance are really only taking an anti-abortion stance. And as my guest today here will attest, is that valuing human life goes far beyond just stopping abortions. And so what I want to do is introduce a few ladies that are here on behalf of different organizations that High Desert Church supports. Joining me is Sienna Melendez. She is the Executive Director of Stanton Healthcare of Southern California. We also have Margaret Brown, who is the Executive Director with Rose of Sharon Pregnancy Resource Center. And then we also have Dr. Pamela Gary. She is the Community Involvement and Church Engagement in San Bernardino County, along with the High Desert, with Olive Crest Foster and Adoption Services. So, as we kind of begin our conversation today, kind of geared around the sanctity of life, one of the questions that I have for you, and I would love for our church family to know about you, is really, explaining your role of what you do and what your organization does, and really how that supports the sanctity of life.
Again, my name's Margaret, and I am the Executive Director with Rose of Sharon Pregnancy Resource Center. We've been in the community for about 35 years, and our doors are open and are welcoming to any woman that feels that she may be in a unplanned pregnancy or a crisis pregnancy, and she'll first come in maybe for a pregnancy test, and we will administer that for her, and if she is needing an ultrasound, we will refer her to Stanton Mobile. But along with that, if she finds out that she wants to keep baby, we are there to walk alongside her. We offer parenting classes. We have different physical baby items for her, and I think more importantly is just the support that she needs, and just for her to know that she's not alone.
Very good.
So my name is Sienna Melendez again, and I am with Stanton Healthcare, Southern California. So I oversee the medical mobile van. And so Stanton is a life-affirming ministry that goes out and it offers a pregnancy test as well, but we actually offer ultrasounds. And so when these women come in and they find themselves in an unexpected pregnancy, or they find themselves just wanting to receive a pregnancy test because they can be very pricey, we offer that to them, and then we offer them the ability to see their unborn baby on an ultrasound. And so that's how we come alongside them. We also have resources within the High Desert community, some of them which are sitting next to me. And so we will also give that and then get them into prenatal care.
I'm Dr. Pamela Gary with Olive Crest. Olive Crest is a family agency. We're Christ-led, Christ-driven, and our whole objective is to keep the family unit a family unit. And we do that by providing services such as foster care, adoption, and we have a preventative program here in the High Desert now, whereas a family that's in crisis, be it a mother or father, they can call us and we will take their child and place them with the family from the church, because we have to have that church involvement. long enough for them to get back on their feet, give their child back without getting the county or the state involved. This is one way we try to preserve the family and the sanctity of life, because we can't do this life alone. We need community and we need church involvement.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I can't say enough how much we have loved partnering with you all as a church, and honestly, you make it an easy decision for us because it's such great work that you do here in the high desert. But as I said, the sanctity of life really isn't a political opinion. It's a biblical truth. And the fact is that we know that through God's word that life is valuable, it's precious, and it's holy in the Lord's eyes. Right off the bat, I think of Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, and you have basically we see that human beings are created in the image of God, that we're made in his likeness, meaning that God views human life uniquely special. Not only that, there's Psalm 139 verses 13 and 14. I'm sure you are familiar with that one, but it says, for you created my inmost being, you knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. And Scripture clearly articulates here that God's love and value for a child, even as it is developing from just the joining of two single cells all the way up to birth, and even beyond birth, throughout the whole life, all the way to old age. God values human life. All human life is precious and holy. But again, the sanctity of life isn't just about being anti-abortion. And I think that's the confusion we see sometimes in our culture today. There's far more to it than that. Having these expecting mothers that are in crisis pregnancy situations, is important to us. And being able to reach out to them. Having a child is probably the most significant life-altering thing we can experience. I know that personally. But the sanctity of life is important to them as well, like to their lives. Yes. And so, I want to kind of broaden our conversation here a little bit, more than just the, abortion side of things, because that's where we tend to go in our minds when we have these conversations, but, really towards the mothers and fathers of these unborn children as well. Sounds like each of you are far more invested than just saving the life of a child. You support moms and dads, and that's what I love. So how about we kind of just take a minute to explain how the sanctity of life is a Christian value, really, as we think about babies and their moms and dads.
Well, at Olive Crest, we've been around for going on 50 years, and we have began to create ministries within the church so that everybody in the church can be involved. We get volunteer families from the church that are willing to open their doors and take a child in long enough for that parent to get back on their feet. Not everybody is in the position to take a child in. So you can be a friend. That friend will help the family that's hosting that child, maybe by doing dishes or taking them to school. But then you have those that aren't in position to do that either. We call those our champions. The champions, they can provide a gift card, or diapers, clothing, or just prayer, because we know the importance of prayer. There's an old African adage that says, it takes a village to raise a kid. It takes a church to hold a family together.
Yeah, that's great.
That is.
And us at Rose of Sharon are so thankful for you, Pamela, that when we have moms that feel like they just cannot parent a baby, that we are able to partner with you and to walk alongside them in their journey with you as well. So we just really appreciate that resource that we have. And I know our moms that come in feeling like there's they have nowhere else to go and they can't parent, but that they do have the option to place their baby.
And you guys have been so great. You donated A couple of years ago, you donated clothes for babies, both male and female, all these beautiful little clothes. My daughter actually went with me. She was pregnant at the time that I went to pick up those clothes, and she was sitting in the lobby, and one of the other ladies said, "Get on in here and sign up for parenting classes. You're going to be parented." And so she learned so much. And then the day that she delivered, one of the ladies called her and said, "You missed our parenting class." And she's like, "I'm in labor and delivery right now." And you guys said, "Okay, after you deliver and you're back home, come on by. We got a stroller and we got clothing and we have diapers and everything for you." So now she tells all of her friends, this is a place that you've got to go to. They care so much. And I've seen it firsthand.
Well, and it's because of supporters and donors and churches that give to us that we are able to help ladies like your daughter and those that do come through our parenting class. So it definitely is a community effort.
Absolutely.
And so both of you actually bring up a great point. And so one of the things is to know that it's not segmented. So when a mother first finds out that she's expecting, it's not just they come to Stanton. And then when they find out that they're in need, it's not just that they go to Rose of Sharon, or they find out that adoption is an option for them. It's not just that they go to Olive Crest. It truly takes that support, and both of you did a great job articulating that. But it truly is that continuum of compassionate care, because they need somebody to be able to walk alongside them, as a young family or as an individual, to be able to offer those support services, or just to be able to say, I'm rooting for you, I'm here for you, give me a call if you need something. And so both of you have done a great job, and your organizations are amazing.
Well, I think it's great that we can all work together, and I know your team and staff like ours just wants to love on these moms and then get to love on their babies. And it's so fun when they bring their little ones back to us and, "Oh, let me see the baby," and we're excited. And I think that the moms feel that from all of us. And it's so great to be able to say, yes, go see Sienna, go see Pamela. They are more than willing to help you with whatever we can't. So it's definitely a team effort.
Yes.
And it's a way to stop the stigma of child abuse or child neglect, because we can call out to those community organizations. We can come to the church and say, "Hey, look, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overburdened, we need help." Because at the end of the day, it's a child that suffers. And having that outreach, having those supports in place, it helps those children, and it helps that family to remain a family.
Yes.
Right, and it's great being able to partner with High Desert with, I need a pastor, or I need a couple. I have a mom in crisis that needs to talk to somebody that we can't help right now, or don't have the resources or whatever, but to be able to reach out to churches in the community that come alongside us and that are there no matter when we call or need them. And that is definitely appreciated.
And High Desert has hosted several children, in case you didn't know.
Yeah.
You've hosted children, you call up to the hotline, and you're always willing.
That's great.
But we need more families.
Absolutely, yeah. It's funny, even just as you are all sharing about this, you're articulating the biblical values of, just the sanctity of life, really, and that support in it. I think of Galatians chapter 6, verse 2, where we're called to carry each other's burdens. And in doing so, we're fulfilling the law of Christ. I mean, this is what Christ has called us to do, is to carry each other's burdens. And here are these, families that find themselves with being burdened with the situation that they find themselves in, and maybe not knowing what to do next. But you guys provide opportunities and not just information, but that true support behind that. I think of James chapter 1 verse 27 as well. It's one I'm sure, Pamela, you're very familiar with, being from an adoption center. But religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless as this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress. And that is something that God directly calls us to do, is to support each other, to carry burdens, to do this, as you even said, as a village, as a church. And so that's awesome to hear that. And I'm glad that this is the opportunity that we have to be able to share with our congregation the involvement that we have together. Some might not even realize that we're doing this. So this is really cool. One of the questions that I did want to ask, especially given what you all do, is, what would you say to somebody that finds themselves in a crisis pregnancy situation? Because that's obviously something, you deal with this all the time. So somebody comes in and meets with you and they don't know what to do next. Like, what's your initial response to them?
So that's a very good question, Kyle. And so it has a lot of layers. But one of the first things is understand that every situation is unique. I don't know what that childbearing woman is coming in with. I don't know her life. And so the first thing, it really is to take her and treat her with compassionate care and give her the forum and the ability to feel safe so that she can share her story with me, so that she can trust me. I think of that too, the verse when God talks about loving our neighbors as ourselves. And so I really try to put myself in that situation and say, how would I want to be treated? And so it is with compassionate care. It's having that ability to be vulnerable with somebody without judgment. And so for me, it's first and foremost, it's to be able to offer that environment to these childbearing women so that they do have that freedom to let us know what's going on, and to know that we're looking at it from the outcome of how do we help her in this moment. What are some of the needs? And the needs can vary. It can be a food insecurity. Well, thank goodness, we have resources within the high desert where we're able to. It could be that she needs a pack of diapers. It could be that they need a car seat in order to bring home the child, because a lot of times what we'll see is we see them being overwhelmed by the outside world. And so all of the things that are overwhelming them, well, how can we now begin to take on some of those burdens so that they're not a burden, because we have resources that we're able to offer. And so that's a lot of times what happens.
I think the first thing I would probably tell them is you're not alone.
Yeah.
Isolation is one of the biggest problems that we have in the community. You're not alone. You have the church, and it's a good thing that you can do all things through Christ. So giving them that encouragement and letting them know that God doesn't make a mistake. So, yeah.
And Pamela, you bring up something too with not alone. There's also this negative stigma that's attached with, oh my goodness, if I say that I can't handle this, or if I say that, the thing that I fear the most, like if I say it out loud, then I'm going to be perceived as a bad person or a bad mom. But those things aren't true. It's to be able to come alongside them and give them that moment, because sometimes they just need a moment to be able to articulate it.
Right.
And being able to share that not only do we love them, but most important that God loves them, and He designed not only their baby, but them as well for a specific purpose. And it's wonderful when we're able to share the gospel with them, and Christ is our ultimate hope, and we want them to know that they can have that hope. And sometimes it is bringing them to the Lord, and they accept Christ, and they can see that, okay, I have the hope that I need, and then we are the Christ's feet on the ground to help them and walk alongside them.
It's nothing more, I don't even know the word, than seeing young parents scared. I keep talking about my daughter. I only have a grandson, so he's the only one I can go back to, but he was 7 months old. In the middle of the night, his parents burst through my bedroom door. Help, help, help. He's not breathing. He was like a rag doll. They were hysterical. I took the baby, the police came, the ambulance came, the fire department came. The entire cul-de-sac was lit up. Not one neighbor came out. Here is a 7-month-old on a stretcher in a car seat. But the fear that these parents have. And I asked my daughter, if you guys didn't live with me, what would you have done? And she burst out crying. And she said, I don't know what we would have done. I said, okay, what if you had another child and you didn't have a husband? What would you have done? She said, I probably would have lost both my children because they wouldn't let the other child go in the ambulance and they wouldn't take my baby without me. So what do I do? That's where Olive Crest comes in. They can call our hotline number and we'll have somebody come and take that child long enough for mom to get back on her feet, tend to that baby in the hospital. So just trying to be that community support, having you guys, having you in the medical side, having you in the community side, having you in the church-based is everything to a family.
Yeah. And not only that, I mean, you deal with these ladies that come in crisis situations essentially, and you know how to respond to them. But sometimes, I mean, there might be somebody watching or listening right now that they don't find themselves in that position, but they certainly know somebody who is, or if they don't now, they will, at some point in their life. I mean, what would you say to somebody like that who is now interacting or knows somebody, has a family member that finds themselves in this crisis situation? Like, what's the best response for them?
I think, again, it goes back to you're not alone. I know someone. I can call up Rose of Sharon. I can call up Stan. I can call up the church. If I don't know, I know somebody else that does know and that can help.
Yeah, for someone that is facing that, it would be know your community resources. I mean, definitely the church. I don't know one church that's not willing to share their information, but it really is going to them and saying, what are the resources within my community? Because if I do have someone that is facing this, especially if it's not in the high desert, like if it's in the high desert, wonderful, please come to one of us. We'll be more than happy to help. But outside of that, it's like if you're not unaware of your resources, find out, because there are ministries within these communities that are there to serve.
And I'm sure, like your staff, if I don't know a resource, one of my staff probably does, and we are calling, texting, I've got somebody that needs help, what can we do? And it's almost like everybody stops what they're doing. Let's think of what we can do to get help for this mom or lady that is in crisis.
And I know that for a fact because I've called up and Carla, hold on a minute, let me get my list. I have some, because I've called for help.
Yeah. And if we don't know right off the bat, we will, let me get back to you and I will get you a resource.
Right.
Yeah. I love that because the three of you really don't operate independently of each other.
No.
Like you guys are very interwoven to provide like a holistic support network for people that come your way, and I think that's really that is a model of the church, right? I mean that God's created us all with special, unique giftings to be able to accomplish His work, and we see that happening in the church, but we also see that happening in our community through you all, through these different Christian-based organizations. And so it's really cool to see you doing that. One of the other, I guess, last questions that I want to ask you guys is, some of our folks here at HDC might not necessarily be familiar with who you are and what you do. I know with Rose of Sharon, we've been partnered with you all for probably decades now, but it's really been since COVID that we partnered with Olive Crest and also with Stanton Healthcare. And so kind of thinking through that, I'm just curious as to, over those years, whether it's been decades or just a few years, how has our church family helped your organizations, and then even the people that you serve? How, I'd love for some of our folks that aren't aware of that to be aware of that.
Well, I know High Desert Campus has provided facilities where we've had community outreach. We've had one of your pastors and his wife teach our evening parenting class one summer. That was wonderful. It was great to have them teach it together. You guys have provided facilities. We've had our first Christmas parenting class brunch, and we're looking forward to making that a regular thing. But also with diaper drives, which you guys are doing right now for us. You guys are providing us a big storage container for us when we need that. And again, anything that we need, I feel like I can call and talk to any of the pastors here and say, hey, I need somebody, can you help me? Or I need trucks to transport certain things. And High Desert Church is always willing to stop what they're doing and to help us.
So for Stanton Healthcare, you guys allow us to park our big, beautiful purple van in a nice, secure location, which is back there with facilities in the compound, if you will. And so, and it's safe and secure, and we don't have to worry about vandalism. But an additional layer to that is that it makes it easy for our volunteers, our client advocates, because it's so close to Planned Parenthood, and that's where we park. It makes it easy for someone to come and pick up the van and drive 5 minutes. So it's not overwhelming when you think about driving a big mobile van, mobile clinic. And so that's one way. And then the other way is just, I'm a member of High Desert Church. So that part, I love it. I love it when two worlds come together. And so I can definitely be that member, but also be active in the community in a faith-based healthcare ministry. So
I kind of wanted to piggyback on the resources working together. There's been times when we've called Stanton and said, we have got a woman in crisis. Can you meet with them? And a couple phone calls later, they're meeting with them. And it's nice that, like she said, having the mobile so close that her team can access it and meet the mom. And so that is tremendous to know. 8 o'clock at night, I'm getting a message. I've got to let me see what we can do. And it's the resources are available after hours, not just through business hours, and that's huge. And I know that I'm not bothering these ladies. We can call anytime.
So that's important to know too, is that it is available. I mean, we're not, a Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Like it's not banker's hours. It definitely goes outside of that. We've been able to assist at various times in various situations. And so it's really nice to know that when you're calling on someone, any one of these two ladies and other organizations, that it's not bothersome, that they're really doing it because they want to see how do they meet that need, and they know that it's an emergency need, because otherwise you wouldn't be calling. So it's having that comfort and availability within each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Our hotline is 24/7. So. High Desert did a gift card drive for us. We've done classes. We've gotten families here involved in hosting children. As a matter of fact, we have a class coming up, and you're welcome to join us if you're available. And we'll let you know more about adoption and fostering, as well as our preventative program and how you can become a part of it, because everybody in the church can do something, and we need everybody to participate.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the class.
Yeah.
I think when we hear foster and adopt, we think, man, that maybe I'm not in that phase of life anymore. I don't know if I can adopt a child or even like long-term foster. But you talked about the preventative care.
Yes.
And that, I mean, that's awesome to know that like somebody from our church could be a part of Olive Crest as a person that provides this preventative care, where maybe a mom just needs a couple weeks and somebody's saying, yeah, you know what, we'll bring in your child, we'll love them, we'll support them and take care of them while you kind of get back on track with whatever, so that we can support you.
Right. We had a mother here. She was 18 years old here in the High Desert, and she had just had a baby. The baby was ready to go home. It was during COVID, but she needed to have surgery or something. And we didn't have a family here in the high desert. We got on that hotline. We got a family from Rancho Cucamonga. They came up, got that newborn baby, took care of that baby until mom was back on her feet and she could take that baby back.
That's awesome.
So that's our preventative.
Yes.
We're there if you need us.
Yeah. Yeah, and so if you're interested in joining that class, you can always go to our website, highdesertchurch.com, Guest Central, and there'll be plenty of information for you there. You can even register for that class, and also there'll be information for the diaper drive as well. We're excited for how the Lord's working in
Yes.
all of this, and again, this idea of the sanctity of life, like we've just been talking about. This isn't just anti-abortion. This isn't standing out on a street corner with a sign, yelling and screaming at people as they walk into a Planned Parenthood. I mean, you're the loving approach, to these ladies that are walking in there, to be able to provide alternative care.
Yes.
And so, very, very good. And so I just want to thank each of you for being here and being a part of this and sharing with our church family what you do. And I want to thank you for watching or listening, however you're joining us today. Our prayer is that you would understand that the sanctity of life is more than just checking a box on a voting ballot. I mean, it really is about how you model God's view of life. And I want to encourage you to get involved. Each one of these ladies would love to have you partner with their organization. If you've got time to be able to serve in different ways, they've got something for you. There's always a need. And so we're going to include in the description links to your guys' organizations. And so click on the links and be able to get some more information, get connected with them so that you can serve with them as well. So with that said, we are just so thankful for you guys. We're thankful for the work that you do in our community, and quite honestly, who knows who's watching this right now. It very well could be somebody outside of our area, going, man, I wish we had a Stanton Healthcare or an Olive Crest or a Rose of Sharon. They probably do. They probably have organizations, and so look them up and see what they have to offer, whether you're in need of those services or you would like to serve with them. But again, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.